Welcome back to another episode of me ranting into the camera for an hour, into the void, into the nothing. When I first started this series, I did have a video on growth because it was important to me to kind of clear the air about a lot of the progress I've made. But I deleted a lot of the videos I had, well, pretty much all of them, and then started fresh. It's just some weird thing that I do. Kind of like an artist who throws away a piece of paper that they drew on because they weren't content with what they drew. I kind of do that same thing with my videos sometimes. Anyway, I figured I wanted to talk about growth again because I'm still working really hard at growing. As far as my mental state, I'm a grower, not a shower. That's a really dumb joke. Over the last, I want to say, it probably really started after COVID. COVID did a lot of things to a lot of people, man. And one of the things it did to me is it kind of made me realize just how angry and frustrated I can appear. And not to say I don't still get angry and frustrated. That's not what I'm trying to say. But when you see an aspect of yourself that you know you're capable of, I was and still am capable of getting angry and frustrated. COVID showed me people's true natures, even if you had no mark in the game, or dog in the game, or whatever the term is. I know a lot of people get mad that somebody's the COVID screener. It's not like I'm doing this job as a personal affront to people, This is my job. This is what I'm being paid to do. I mean, do I agree with making sure we're not getting other people sick? Yes, but people like to think of stuff like that as a personal attack against them, and it's not. But point being, because I don't want to get off on the topic of how dumb COVID was, it showed me how people can be, and I didn't want to be like that. I had one guy who came in and I had to screen him. All I basically did was I asked him 3 questions and I took his temperature. This is all I did all day. And he's like a toddler who doesn't want to eat their broccoli. He's throwing a hissy fit. I'm like, I can't let you into the building if you don't let me do this. If you're clear, you're clear. But I have to do this before I can let you in. And he's throwing a tantrum, and I'm just like, man, have I ever been like this? And I don't think I've been this bad, per se. But just the fact that, somebody can overreact like that, just something so simple, something that once you kind of have it done, it's over with for the time being. It's it takes 10 seconds, if that, for me to screen somebody in and they go about the rest of their day. It's as simple as that. It's that quick. To throw a tantrum over that, man, the true nature of people really shone during COVID, and I was like, I don't want to be like that. I don't want to have that attitude towards things. I don't want to get so frustrated about meaningless, petty things. Even if you disagreed with social distancing and wearing masks and what have you during COVID, just let people do their fucking job, man. Everybody's stressed out. Some people that don't agree with it, some people that do agree with it, are still stressed out over different things. Just let people do their fucking jobs, man. Is it that fucking hard to just sit back for a minute and just let it happen? That sounds weird, but point being, I realized I would get a little angry sometimes or frustrated with the customer service rep if I was calling something, and I had to work. I'm still working really hard. One of the things things I have learned, and I actually use this in interviews when I'm asked about stuff with customer service. They ask, like, how do you deal with an irate customer? Well, I've been the irate customer, and part of me learning, part of me growing is realizing and recognizing what's making me angry is just I'm either A, confused about something, or B, something's just not working right. All things that can be figured out for the most part. Not always right away. Don't get me wrong, not everything can be fixed right away. But that was something I had to just realize, recognize, and accept that as long as I let the other person do their job, we can figure it out, you know? It doesn't mean it's always the case. Sometimes there's customer service and stuff that just does not work well. I still deal with some stuff once in a while where I'm like, it is so hard to just realize that, because another thing you have to remember is the person on the other end of the phone or the email or whatever you're chatting back with forth with the customer service representative, they're not always the ones that are causing the problems that you're dealing with. And you're taking out your anger and frustration at the company and their principalities and regulations and stuff, even though it has nothing to do with that customer service rep. The customer service rep is just doing the best they can to help you with what limited technology or information they have. And that's something else, you know, that helped me kind of calm down a little bit and accept it and recognize it, you know, is just like, these people are here to help. They are going to do what they can to help you. Not all of them. Not all customer service reps give a shit. But a lot do. Either they're just really stressed out or at their max. I mean, where I am, I'm at my max and I get frustrated, but you never take it out on your customers, you know? It doesn't make it easy, don't get me wrong. I just want to make that clear. It's not like I'm perfect. It is very hard to interact with some people. Some people, you could dangle a piece of cheese in front of them and they would still get upset that you're offering them food and they're starving. Like, some people are just really difficult. But it's not going to do you any good. It's not going to help anything if you combat them with the same attitudes, right? And that's just part of the growth I've had over the last better part of a decade, is recognizing things like this. I get really freaked out sometimes about things because either my anxiety or what have you gets the best of me. If I make a mistake, I fester on that mistake for a long time sometimes. I'm working on it, but it is hard. One of the people I'm talking to, I'm surprised they're still talking to me. My anxiety got the best of me one night. I said something, they got upset, and they disappeared for like a couple days. And I don't know what got into me. I called them a bunch of times, and I'm like, hey, you okay? Like, did I mess up? Blah, blah, blah. That's on me. That's just part of things I have to learn and work on. It's a very, very embarrassing moment, I will say. I can blame it on my anxiety, but it was still my actions. And that kind of segues into other things that I've had to learn and change and grow. I was raised very conservatively Christian. So much so that I hated anyone who wasn't a straight white Catholic male. I'm not even kidding. I was also a third-degree Knight of Columbus, and people wanted me to go into the priesthood. Like, I was so heavily involved in republicanism, conservatism, well, the bastardized version of conservatism, and Catholicism. Like, I had my head so far up my fucking ass, and I hated anyone that wasn't straight white Catholic male. I already said that, but so over the years, I've just had to like come to an agreement with myself and like realize that life isn't black and white like that, you know? I had two really good friends, bless their hearts, all throughout high school. I don't know how they put up with me. They're two of my best friends. And it was cool because my one best friend, she would challenge me on my beliefs. She was raised a lot more progressive. So for some reason, she wanted to be my friend. I don't know if it was just the goodness of her heart or there was something about me she saw. I don't know. But she would challenge me on my beliefs. And when your beliefs are challenged like that, you truly want to understand. It hurts. It actually is this mental fuckamajig that happens, and it makes you think a lot, and it hurts because the foundation of what you thought you believed, learning it's a lie, or it's been altered, or it's been modified or bastardized or something, is a lot to cope with. And my other friend, my best friend, he was there for me when I didn't know what to do. Because it's such a shock to the system when you learn things and you learn that what you believed in is both A, wrong, and 2, wrong. And what I mean by that is, like, a lot of what I was taught and raised with as far as Christianity goes, and a lot priests and stuff I dealt with were preaching, and just like the Catholic Church in general, like, it was being taught wrong, incomplete, inconsolably incomplete. So I was getting fed a lot of information that made me hateful and spiteful, even though that went against everything the Catholic Church taught. Now, I'm an atheist now, but at the time, because I was still a Catholic for quite a while, but I finally recognized that, like, the teachings of the church are much more safe and nurturing and healthy than what a lot of people tend to pretend they are. Now, that's not to say there are kind of negatives to the church. I mean, the whole Old Testament, even though technically the New Testament is supposed to override the Old Testament. So, I mean, there's that. But the teachings, and then my friend, anytime I would learn something and have this culture shock, he was there for me because it was hard. Because, not that I don't love my family or anything, but, they contributed to it. So a lot of them, they're very, very foundationally conservative or Catholic or what have you. So having somebody that was there for me that still loved me and cared about me, despite the fact that I was an asshole for so long, and learned how to be a better person, it helped a lot. And I say I was an asshole because I was. Just because I was, I don't want to say brainwashed. I wasn't really brainwashed. Even though I was raised in this specific format of living, lost my train of thought. That's the problem with not scripting your videos. Even though I was raised in this specific format of growing up and what I knew and believed in and what have you, and stuff I contributed to, like, I can't blame that too much at all with how I was growing up. That was still me saying the things I was saying. That was still me doing the things I was doing. I need to be aware and just accept that I was an asshole in high school, and that's probably why people didn't like me. I mean, I was annoying too, but I'm sure that it was easier to dislike me because I was an asshole. A lot of the people that I went to school with were either minorities or people that were frowned upon by the Catholic Church, because I went to a Catholic high school and they've been friends for a long time. So here comes this one guy, he's annoying a little bit. Sure, whatever, you can kind of ignore that. There's always that one annoying kid. But then he comes around spatting these, like, very Christian views that nobody else really agrees with, and just dissing on everybody because they're not a straight white Catholic male. You know, you kind of understand now as an adult why people didn't really want to be around me. Now, I know that sounds weird because I just said I have two best friends that I knew throughout high school and stuff. I have another friend that I've known since high school. It just worked out. Sometimes people can see through the bullshit, I guess. And thank goodness that they're still around in my life because they're really good friends. But that was all part of my growth process. I had to learn to accept that that was my choosing. Yeah, this is how I was raised, but it was me doing it. I can't really blame my upbringing for those actions. Even as an adult, it's still hard to shake a lot of what I grew up believing. There are certain things that I still kind of believe in. And I'm trying to create a new mindset where you can believe something, but it should never be forced upon people, you know? Because at the end of the day, the only thing that makes us survive as a society is if we put petty differences aside and recognize everyone as an equal and work with them. I want to be one of those people that anybody can look at and say, yeah, that man will do anything for his fellow man, regardless of who it is. Does it mean I'm gonna be like out there, you know, like, I'm terrible examples. I'm not, this is gonna sound so contradictory in a way. Like, I don't really work like soup kitchens and stuff. I could. What I do for work, I feel like is very valuable to people that need help. So I kind of feel like I am doing a lot for my community in that regard. But I'm also going to vote for things that are going to help my fellow man. I'm also going to, man and woman, what have you, just the general term, man is like humanity. I'm going to try to learn things. One of the things that I've been struggling with and still struggling with, doesn't seem like anybody wants to help. And not to knock it, if you see this video and you have suggestions or advice, or if you can help me out, like, I'm trying to make sure I stay on top of the LGBTQ plus community. I just learned something the other day. I think it's there's another one called 2S, and I had to ask somebody, and I think they said it's two spirits, and like, I'm just trying to keep up with this stuff, you know, because I want to respect everybody as much as possible. Even people, even conservatives to some degree, even though I'm fearful of them right now, they're still people. And I hope they come around. I do. Because if I can go through the life I had where I was a shithead for a long time, I hope that people can come around too. I gotta hope that. I gotta want that. It wouldn't be fair for me to deserve the ability to grow and learn as a person if I don't offer that to other people. Now, I tried with people that were close to me. I cut off a friendship that was a really good friendship, but, you know, I had to think about, like, with the state of the world and stuff right now, and how our president has been acting and stuff, can I really call that person a friend? And I tried, even while I was still technically a friend with them. I'm like, look, man, like, I know you're a good person in your heart, but, like, this isn't right, and you know it's not right. And it was the comment Mango Mussolini made about genocide against the Iranian people. Like, you don't have to like the Iranians. They're not all of them. They're not the greatest people, especially with what they've done with a lot of stuff. But that doesn't mean we go to war with them. That doesn't mean we commit genocide. That doesn't mean we do these things to stoop ourselves down to their level. Like, so when my friend said he agreed with Trump's comment on genocide, like, that was kind of when I started really thinking about how valuable that friendship was. And I'm like, man, this hasn't been healthy for a while. turning a blind eye as much as possible because I wanted to keep a friend, but like, this hasn't been healthy this entire time. And not to include all the other stuff that's happening in the regular friendship, politics be damned, but I can't reasonably do this. I can't be friends with somebody that still supports somebody like that. Because in my eyes, Trump is a fascist. Like, plain and simple, I think Trump is a traitor to this country. He's a fascist. He's as close to a Nazi as you're going to get right now. He would get even closer if nobody was going to stop him with anything. Fortunately, some people are kind of stonewalling him here and there. So I just can't be friends with somebody like that. And I know a lot of conservatives bitch and complain that, well, people can't just break off friendships just because they disagree politically. I'm like, it's not the politics that I'm breaking off the friendship for. It's the lack of safety. I don't feel safe around conservatives anymore. Like, part of my growth has been learning a lot of my hatred towards the gays was the fact that I myself might be gay. I've been questioning. I've been trying to discover myself. I feel like I'm at a point where I understand myself well enough sexually wise to where I feel like what I know I am. I'm attracted to femininity. If that means trans or if it means non-binary, what have you, like, I like femininity. I still like a womanly person. I don't know the exact definition, but I think the term is gynosexual. So I know a lot of that projection came from a lot of that hatred came from projection. And I learned that the hard way. That's one of those things that hit me like a brick punch in my stomach. And thank goodness I had my friends there to help me out when I realized, like, I might not be straight. But, like, I'm at that point where I'm not even sure this video is me kind of saying it, but I'm at that point where I'm so fearful of our government right now that I don't know if I really want to explore any more of my sexuality. Like, maybe I'm just comfortable with what it is right now, you know? I don't want to explore that too much, and then I'm fearful, you know? So how am I supposed to be friends with somebody that still supports a government like that? And you could cry and bitch and complain and argue that that's not what our government is doing. They're absolutely doing that. And if you disagree with that, you're part of the problem. You're part of the reason we're in this mess. You are partially responsible for what is happening right now. I'm sorry. I can't forgive this anymore. There was a point in time where people would have come around and they would have realized what was happening. It would have been like, all right, you know, a lot of feelings have been hurt. A lot of stuff has happened. We can reconcile. We can figure this out. At this point, if you're still a supporter of Trump, I just cannot forgive you anymore. And it's going to be hard to know who still supports Trump because not everybody's vocal about it, right? I know somebody around me is still a supporter of Trump, but they took down all their flags and stuff. Like, I don't think they want to be vocal about it because I'm in an area where they probably get a lot of flack. But I know they're absolutely still 100% Trumpers, and I could go on for days about politics, but the reason I went off on a tangent about this is because a lot of this stuff is stuff that I've been there before. I've been on that side of the aisle. I've seen the hatred that they have for other people, hell, their fellow man, woman, etc. I've been there. It's all projection. It's power trip too. Like, a lot of the times, it's literally just because they want to establish power. They don't actually care sometimes. They just want the power. Not all the time, but a lot of the times. And it's frustrating. Like, immigration. If you look at any of our actual, like, statutes and stuff in our government, we're also a sanctuary for people fleeing refuge from wars. Does that necessarily mean that we should just let every Tom, Dick, and Harry in that wants to come in? I don't know. I used to to think probably not. For the longest time, I even still thought, well, maybe, maybe we should be strict about who's coming in. Maybe we should do this. Maybe we should do that. Maybe we shouldn't have fucking billionaires either. Like, another thing I've always heard my ex-friend complain about was like homeless people and stuff. I'm like, okay, so let me get this straight. You don't like the fact that there's a bunch of homeless people, right? Okay, so how do you feel about billionaires? Oh, you're okay with billionaires? All right, well, you're going to keep seeing homeless people then, I guess. Like, as long as there's a huge wealth disparity, we're going to have a huge problem with homelessness. You're going to almost always have an issue with homelessness. Don't get me wrong. There's going to be a lot of people who aren't necessarily going to adhere to the way society wants them to be. There's always going to be problem children. But you're going to see it in droves the longer we have this huge wealth disparity. Companies are raking in record profits. Trump illegally set tariffs, and then they made refunds on those tariffs, and then they're still raising prices. I'm going off on a tangent. This was supposed to be about growth. Part of my growth, it kind of works, because part of my growth is realizing how fucking psychotic do you have to be where you don't want to help out your own people. Like, what happened to community? What happened to it? Like, I'm afraid to deal with our community because I don't know which one of these asshats is going to be a person that's against who I am or who I could be. So I'm afraid to be a part of communities sometimes because I don't want to get bastardized or ostracized or exiled or talked down on, so... But it's like, it's not that hard to just let people live how they want to live. Even if somebody wants to be weird and just strange, like, as long as they're not hurting people, who gives a fuck? I saw a post the other day about a furry, and they were, like, doing jumps and stuff around on the beach, and they had some, like, fairly cringy titling, and it's like, who cares? Who cares? They're not hurting anyone. Honestly, that person doing that in that moment looked a lot happier than I am. I'm pretty fucking depressed. If they enjoy doing that, they're not hurting anyone, fuck it, let them. They're not harming anyone. You know who is harming people? People who sit there and bullshit on the internet and say people like them are cringe. Those are the people hurting people. That person just having a little fun, just enjoying themselves, they're not hurting anyone, man. And that's been part of my growth too, is just live and let live. Let people be who they want to be, regardless of, even if it can be cringy. Because, yeah, to some degree, I think furries can be cringe. But the more I've learned about them too, a lot of people who are furries are rich. I mean, hell, at this point, like, if I found a chick who happened to be a furry, she's probably rich. I'll be a stay-at-home dad. Like, that's just who they want to be. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Just let people be who they want to be. You don't have to sit on a cuck chair and watch a man make out with another man. Nobody's forcing you to go to a gay wedding. Nobody's forcing you to play with somebody who's trans. Like, nobody's forcing you to interact with these people. You probably interact with a lot of people every day who you vehemently disagree with, and you would never fucking know. Like, again, projection. I've been on that side of the aisle. I met somebody who now I know, but at the time didn't know, is very gay. It's like, I would have never known, ever. The only reason I know now is because I found out. I asked him one day. That's the only reason I know. You're going to encounter probably a lot of trans people in the wild. A lot of them. without ever knowing. Because, one, it's not your fucking place to. Two, who gives a flying shit? So what? They're not hurting people. Now, if there are people hurting people, then that's a problem. But the problem that the conservatives like to state is not the problem that we're actually dealing with. In fact, as somebody who used to be a part of the Catholic Church, let me tell you, sometimes priests would get accused of diddling little kids. And you know what would happen to them? I'll give you a hint. Actually, I won't give you a hint. I'll give you multiple choice. They were accused of diddling little kids. So A, were they fired as a priest and seen repercussions from the law? Or B, moved to another parish so they are less tempted to diddle little kids? Which one do you think it is, A or B? Yeah, it's B. They have literally just moved some of these priests, not all of them, some do get justice. But a lot of times what they do is they just move them to another parish. Can't diddle little kids if this parish doesn't have little kids. I've had to learn and grow a lot. And I'm still learning and growing. And in the process of learning and growing, I feel like I'm more afraid of the world now because I've realized how dangerous my fellow neighbor is. Like, the government and people that support this government have been trying to convince us for decades now that we need to worry about Russia. We need to worry about North Korea. We need to worry about Pakistan and Palestine and anybody from the Middle East. And we need to worry about China. And to some degree, there is stuff we need to worry about, sure. But the real threat is right outside your door. It's your neighbor, person down the street from you. Those are the real threats, man. No, I'm not saying go like the monsters would do on Maple Street and start being afraid of literally everyone you encounter. I'm not trying to fearmonger. I'm just stating that we're fighting each other instead of fighting the people actually causing us conflict. If people could stop caring about what's swinging between people's legs and stop caring whether or not somebody wants to put on a fursona, stop caring about all this petty little shit and start caring about the fact that corporations are pulling in record profits, healthcare insurance stuff is getting denied in droves, people are dying every day from diseases that could be easily prevented, people can't afford healthcare. Like, if we could focus on stuff like that, you know, instead, I don't know, man. I'm gonna have to make a part 2. I went off on a tangent too much about my growth. This was supposed to be a video about my growth, but some of it does matter to what I was speaking about, so it is what it is. Oh well.